Robert, just to begin with, give me the backstory to the centre. How did it come about? And what kind of effort, what was the level of input that had to go into making it into a reality?
So the Carraig Centre was a dream of the former rector, Ian Jonas, and but also a challenge from Bishop Paul Colton, as he saw that the church here in this community was on the fringes of what was at that stage the fastest growing town in Ireland. So Bishop Paul had asked Ian when he arrived in the parish to have a look and see what the church could be doing at the heart of the community here. So it started from that initial thought and questioning, and then down through the years, Ian had picked up the baton of that question, and at one stage the vision was a small coffee shop on the main street, but thankfully I believe God had bigger plans. And so Ian arrived one day as he was walking around the streets here and saw the door was open here. So he looked in and had a real sense that this was to be a place that the church needed. But it was a big vision, and we didn't have the resources. And so we looked to see what could be and should be done to enable this to happen. And so thankfully, the story is that we had a field that was generating a very small income each year. And at that stage, just as this place went up on the market, that field turned from greenbelt to residential, which allowed the parish then to step out in faith and see if we could get the resources needed for this place. And thankfully, we were able to do that. And being able to do that on time and on budget was just such a blessing. And being able to see the uptake from the community has been phenomenal. So we got the keys of this building 2 weeks before the first COVID lockdown in February 2020. And we had big plans for a big community launch, but those all had to be subsumed into all the restrictions. But it allowed, during the time, we were able to open it up bit by bit and open the playground for local families and open up rooms as and when restrictions allowed. And because we had lots of space, it allowed even small groups to use big space during pandemic. So that, when people were looking for alternate spaces to meet in, so we were able to facilitate those around, from all sorts of different sections of community. And so then when we came out of lockdown, it allowed us to, that we were known in the community as a safe place. And so for us, that's been great.
So you went from operating at breakneck speed, doing all that you had to do judiciously and prudently to get the space that we're now in, to a point where you hit the brakes because of the COVID pandemic. Tell me about the here and now. How many groups use the facility itself, and what impact that has had for them?
Yeah. So I think there's now around 40 to 50 different groups using the space on a monthly basis. So some are daily organisations, the likes of Enable Ireland. Some are individual artists using it for kids' art camps, and or musicians using it to have music lessons one-to-one. So there's a whole range of different groups using the space, and anybody that applies to use the space, we're able to try and facilitate their use, so that it's for the building up of community in this place, as well as for obviously church to use as well.
And the church uses it. It's where you hold Sunday services.
It's where we hold Sunday services. It's where we have our office, our staff team here also facilitate youth work and youth ministry, and also we have mums and toddler groups and Bible study groups and alpha courses. So the parish is using it for their purposes, but also then the income generated from the space then allows the centre to go forward and be maintained beyond just parish youth.
And you're probably at capacity. I do know you have plans for a phase 2. Talk me through what you have in mind.
Yeah, so we have another third of the building to be redeveloped, and so we've now found the funding stream to allow that again to be used within the purposes of the Carraig Centre for education and for arts purposes. We have more music practice rooms, another larger space, and a couple of other meeting rooms again to help community mold together in this space.
Now, not many centres have a dedicated radio studio. Where did that idea come from?
Yeah, so the sound studio came from. So the whole centre was created by a lot of community listening. So our church army evangelist Matt, he is also a youth worker at the time. So he was very much looking and did a community audit of the town to see what was needed, and out of that came the idea from some of our young people to say that there was no recording studio space that was cost effective for young people, and so we looked, and that was the case, and so we needed to find a space in this building, so that where we are now is a bit of vision from our young people, us listening, and then also just recalling just the needs of where we are. So we've been able to fund this through both priorities and through other sources of funding to enable musicians to use this space.
It was very important to get support, sponsorship, and other types of support.
Yeah.
Without that level of support, do you think this could have been achieved?
No, because I think we've been very prudent on our finances, and we haven't jumped before funding has been in place. So we've stepped out in faith. We were very much came in on budget for the building, but also it needed a kitchen. And we didn't have the funds in the kitty for the kitchen, but we were able to apply for funding, and that funding was granted. So we're running just on budget, and I think that's been, God's provision through this project has just been phenomenal. So going forward, that's been our, we've been fully reliant upon God for all of the different bits and pieces as we've gone through.
What has the reaction of the wider community been like to this development and what you're trying to do?
So I think the wider community sees a lovely big centre, and I think they possibly haven't realised the big story behind the centre, but actually they see it as a safe place, a place where there is always a warm welcome from our volunteers, and have been really supportive. My colleagues in the Roman Catholic Church here in the town have been, have loved coming along to this place on numerous occasions, and have welcomed this community facility. And as we've been developing the far end of the building, we've needed letters of support. So we've had letters of support from the Roman Catholic bishop. We've had letters of support, obviously, from our own bishop, but also from politicians, and from, I think there was about 12 or 14 different community groups who were all acting in support of this space. So that's been great to see that outward support as well as. And
of course, there's a great military angle to all of this. Not forgetting the swords to plowshares.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, so the building is, the history of the building has been the stables, the officer stables, and then it became the field gun stores for the Irish Army, and it's been really interesting to welcome officers who have known this place in its former days, but they're just absolutely delighted that it's now a community facility.
A brand new lease of life.
Indeed, absolutely, very much so.
Robert, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
I'm the community leader here in the Carraig Centre, and I'm the lead evangelist with our partner organisation, Church Army. So we're the Cork Centre of Mission. So my role really is about people, people within the church community. So I'm involved in the Sunday service, our informal service here. People who are using the centre, so all of the various community groups coming in. I get the joy of chatting away and finding out how people are doing and helping them with rooms and all that sort of stuff. And then the third part of my role is the people in the wider community. So I'm involved in a number of community groups that are trying to help Ballincollig be a place where people can flourish. And, you know, as a Christian, obviously, I want to bring hope and light into those areas where there is, you know, loss or lack or people struggling, those on the margins and so on. So on a day-to-day basis, that might be working with young people who have nowhere to be, sort of shooed away from the shopping centre, and we've got a space we can welcome them. It might be working with older folk who are coming in and perhaps just looking for someone to talk to, as well as those who are maybe more spiritually inquiring and interested as what's going on the faith side of things.
Can I ask you to be objective and to give me some idea about the uptake, about the level of interest in the centre and the impact that that has had?
So that's really interesting. We would have a number of young people from our local area who are starting to come along to our youth space. So it's our after-school drop-in space. Small numbers, half a dozen, 10 or so. But they were people who were just hanging around the bike shelter and the streets, and were able to give a meaningful welcome. Pretty much every week that goes by, I'm having a significant conversation with someone who comes in and just looks around, and they've maybe come to a group and they want to know a bit more. Who are you guys? What are you about? What are you doing? And I get to tell the story of the Carrigrohane Union of Parishes here in the Carraig Centre. So that's kind of how it unfolds. We've had people join our church community on the back of coming to an exercise class here or an art class, and they're catching something of the place and the vision and the feel, and they want to know more. So we're seeing those little connections happen sort of week by week, yeah.
Are you surprised at the level of uptake, at the connections that you've been able to make and are continuing